Update. My 23 female partner 26 male stormed out of our apartment after I told him I couldn't give him the support he wanted because my friend died. Original post. Okay, so it's totally okay if you go to your partner to talk about things that are upsetting you. Same for them coming to you. I get it. It's normal to do that. What my boyfriend of 2 years does is a bit much. Literally, we were having a completely normal conversation. We were talking about a TV show we really enjoy after I'd just gotten off a 12-hour shift. I just wanted an easy evening, and I told him that. I told him that right now I don't have the mental space to deal with anything else on top of what I'm already dealing with. A friend of mine just ended herself not even 2 days ago, and I'm a nurse, so I'm exhausted on top of everything else. It was cool and chill until I stopped talking to turn on said show for us to watch. Then, out of nowhere, he started talking about how much he hated his dad. This would be fine if it didn't happen every time we spoke. Like, even on the day I found out my best friend in the entire world killed herself, he started talking about his dad, about how much he doesn't like him, how he doesn't feel respected by him, and how much it sucks that his dad won't change. I get it. Not having a good relationship with a parent is hard, and I give him the space to talk about it usually, but I just can't handle it right now. Literally, I got off the phone with my friend's sobbing mom, and I was in a weird, foggy headspace where nothing felt real. I told him what was up, he said sorry and hugged me, and then not even 15 minutes later, the same conversation that we've had a million times came up again. I ended up just sitting there, barely paying attention, while he talked at me for over an hour before I excused myself and took a bath. I told him very bluntly tonight that I really just need a few days to mentally recover, and I don't believe I'm in the space to comfort him the way he needs. And he totally flipped out on me. He called me a bitch, told me I was completely selfish, and that he needs to talk about his dad so he doesn't obsess over it. He told me I don't understand what he's going through because I never had a dad in my life to begin with. I got defensive because that comment hurt my feelings, which made everything worse. I told him that, yeah, I didn't have a relationship with my dad, but I don't spend every hour of every day talking about it. He ended up screaming at me that I need to shut my freaking mouth, and he hit the wall beside my head. Then he grabbed his car keys and drove off, leaving me there. He still isn't back. And it's 1 a.m. His location is off. He hasn't returned my phone calls. All I got from him was a concerning text message around 11:30 saying, "You're completely unempathetic to what I'm going through. I hope you think about your actions." I don't know what to do going forward from here. I want to have a conversation with him about all of this when he gets home, but I don't even know where to start. This is the first time in our entire relationship where I've told him I don't have the mental space. This is also the first time in our relationship where he stormed out like this. I feel guilty because I know the relationship with his dad upsets him, and I absolutely shouldn't have gotten defensive, but I just don't have it in me to offer comfort. Is there any other way I can say to him that I don't have the space? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Leave. He's abusive. Next time it could be your face, not the wall 2 inches from it. That's abuse. Leave. For your safety. Agreed. That's abuse. And it's scary to think that this could definitely turn violent very quickly. Of note, it also didn't start or stop when he punched the wall. He made the hurtful comment about OP's dad, which is emotional abuse. Then spent the time away from the house, mentally abusing more by saying that OP needed to think about her actions. If it was rude comments in an argument, that would be bad. But the stuff after and the hitting part is really, really bad. Don't have a conversation with him. Leave. He punched the wall next to your head. That's not okay. That is your neon flashing light that he is not a safe person. You do not need to explain yourself to him. You already did. And his response was you yell at you, call you names, and then punch the wall next to your head. Leave his crazy butt. Leave quickly and quietly. The fact she had to specifically say, "Can we have a chill evening please where we don't ruminate on you hating your dad," is insane. And that she felt she had to have a good reason to just chill. He's made her feel obligated to be his therapist 24/7. How exhausting. He's a loser. Mini update. I'm not going to lie. The moment comments started coming in about abuse, I felt sick. Luckily, the panic I felt lit a fire under my butt. I freaked out. Spam called my brother at like 2 in the morning to wake him up, grabbed my basic essentials and a few bits of clothing, and left. I'm staying at my brother and his partner's house right now because that's what they told me to do. I turned off my location, and I haven't returned his calls or texts. He got home an hour ago and started spam calling me when he realized I wasn't there. He's throwing out a lot of apologies and begging right now, and I feel completely overwhelmed with guilt and this need to be there for him. But I don't want to be the thing he hits next. I just want to say I am eternally grateful for everyone here. And I'm grateful for my brother, who was absolutely horrified when I told him what happened and opened his home to me. I'm going to talk to my mom, and we're going to figure out a way to get me out of there and away from him permanently. Thank you all so much again. I'm going to get some more rest. I just wanted to let everyone know I was safe. Now for the second update. Hi, I just wanted to come on here to say one thing. Everyone who said he's abusive was completely correct. These past 48 hours have been nothing short of a nightmare. My now ex-boyfriend started with extremely apologetic texts, telling me how he never meant to react like that he'll get therapy, that he'll do anything if I just come back home. Once those didn't get a response, he started getting desperate. There were a lot of threats of self-harm. He told me he needed me to drive him to the mental hospital because he didn't trust himself. At that point, I called him and told him I'd call a welfare check for him, but I wouldn't be driving him anywhere. Then he got mean, telling me that I should consider myself lucky that he loves me because no one else ever will. He accused me of sleeping around. He told me that my friend ended herself because I neglected her, just like I'm neglecting him. That broke me. I told him that we're done and that I need to come get my stuff, so he needs to be out of the apartment. I also told him that I wasn't coming alone and that my brother and his partner were coming to help me. I went to get my things earlier today while he was at work. He trashed my apartment. There were holes in the walls. He destroyed all my clothing. He tore up photos. My makeup is ruined. Anything that he thought might have sentimental value to me is destroyed. I took photos of everything. I don't know what to do about the damage to the actual walls of my apartment or what to do about the lease. I'm thinking of filing a protective order against him in case he starts showing up at my job. I'm just done. I'm checking out for a while and I'm going to focus on restarting and getting myself back together. Definitely get a protective order. Notify the police and apartment management of the damage to the apartment and yourself. Do not let him know where you're staying. Yeah, you need to file a report as soon as possible. I'd honestly press for charges against him, and your landlord may wish to do so too. Do you have renter's insurance? If charges are pressed against your ex, insurance may be willing to reimburse up to a point. The way guys like this stay hovering at about a 20 in terms of anger and violence, and then immediately ramp up to 110 when their chosen target/victim/plaything decides not to put up with it anymore, is truly terrifying. Yeah, no kidding, the deadliest time in an abusive relationship is when you try to leave. He gets obsessive about his father, unless he obsessively talks about his father all the freaking time. And if he's destroyed her apartment, next call needs to be to the police for destruction of property. He needs to carry that weight. I obsessively talked about my mom a lot, but I absolutely hated that I did that. I stopped doing it at some point, and I'm so glad I have that weight off my psyche. But if someone had asked me to stop talking about her, I wouldn't have blamed them. I've called the police to make a person manipulating people by threatening self-harm go to the hospital. 10 out of 10 recommend. They either mean it and therefore need it, or they get to spend 72 hours explaining to strangers they didn't mean it for like $30,000. I did the same with my abusive boyfriend when he drove off, drunk and threatening to drive into a tree. Zero regrets for calling the cops. I would have called them even without a suicide threat. He was over drinking and driving limit in our country. I also gasped when I read. Then he got mean, telling me that I should consider myself lucky that he loves me because no one else ever will. Because that same a-hole said those exact words to me. Same ex punched holes in the wall of every house we lived in too. It's like there's an abuser playbook or something. Last story. I think a nap ruined my marriage to my husband. Original post. I, 28 female, am married to 30 male. I've been married for under a year, but with my husband for 6. We have a 3-month-old little girl who's fantastic. I'm a first-time mom who's a stay-at-home mom. My husband works from home. My husband's not dumb, just emotionally inept sometimes. I've had a lot of resentment building since I was pregnant. His mom tormented me through my pregnancy by talking about miscarriages, stillbirths, and saying dead baby to me every time my husband wasn't around. She denied it. He sympathized with me, but nothing was ever truly done. Since I gave birth, my husband's just been clueless. When I was in the hospital recovering, he would go home and sleep and leave me all alone because the couch was uncomfortable. I had to call him 20 times to get him to wake up and come back to the hospital because I was lonely. Then when we left, he was asking me to carry things to the car with him. The nurse had to tell him I shouldn't be carrying anything. I'd just given birth. When we got home, he complained about his lack of sleep. I was struggling, learning how to nurse. He was my cheerleader through nursing. I have to give him credit there. As the first 2 months went by, I was consistently bawling about how sleep-deprived I was while he was getting 8 to 10 hours of uninterrupted sleep every night. It caused a lot of fights because I couldn't hear him tell me he was exhausted without having a meltdown. Then his mom would come over, and they'd leave a huge mess for me to clean on more than one occasion. He complained about the basement being messy, so I helped him lift things and clean it up. It caused me to start bleeding heavily, and my doctor told me I shouldn't be lifting anything heavy. This is a point of contention because my husband continuously asked me to help him lift heavy things, and I couldn't, so he'd get annoyed. Then he'd complain about it all day. Now we're at month 3, and I think my marriage is over. We've been distant ever since the baby arrived, and I haven't wanted to have sex or be affectionate. My husband has been asking if I'm all right a lot, and I say I'm fine. I don't know what else to say, but I feel miserable and tense up every time he walks into the same room as me. Today, he was on my case about walking our dog. I'm so exhausted from exclusively breastfeeding, and I don't have the energy to walk her. I had been up since 2:30 a.m. with my baby and just couldn't handle anything else on my plate. So he whined and moaned about doing it, but promised me I could nap. I snapped and reminded him that I haven't slept a full 8 hours in months. He got pissy and stormed off. He avoided me the entire day and locked himself in his office. I spent the rest of the day randomly breaking down in full-blown sobs because I was so tired. 11 p.m. hits, and he hasn't come out of his office, so I finally break and go get him. He gives me the cold shoulder and I just break down. All the lack of support just broke me. I told him I hated him, I wish I could go home, and I even mentioned divorce. He calmed me down and apologized for being selfish. When I asked what he did all day, he said he napped. He napped the whole day. While I was struggling to keep myself standing, he was napping. I broke down. I cried and cried. He was apologetic and showering me in sorries and I love yous. For the first time ever, I couldn't tell him I loved him too. Now it's 2 a.m. and I can't sleep because I'm so distraught. He's snoring next to me, and I just hate him right now. I want to take my baby and run away. I don't want to live here anymore. Being a single mom seems easier than dealing with all this emotional stress and neglect. What am I supposed to do? I just can't believe I'm ready to leave him all because he took a nap. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Oh man, this is classic. When you finally divorce him, he will be shocked, and you will be relieved. Men like this are emotionally stunted and can't empathize properly until you're literally breaking down and forcing them to care. Then you get apologies, but there won't be change. Talk about exhausting and unsustainable. Personally, I would run. Maybe leaving, even if it's for a break, could be a wake-up call, though I doubt sustained change. He is incredibly selfish. That's way beyond being emotionally inept. His sorry and love words mean absolutely nothing. Do you have family that you and your child can go to? I moved to his home state on the other side of the country away from my family. Text them right now so you don't second-guess yourself in the morning. Tell them it's an emergency and you need help. Also, sorry, this really sucks. Now for the update. So we talked. Well, I talked. He listened. I told him I couldn't do this anymore and that something needed to change immediately, or I was going to go back home and take my baby with me. He stared at me, confused, but then realized I had 2 bags packed by my dresser and was ready to leave. I finally was able to articulate all the resentment that had been building, his mom's cruel and careless behavior, feeling abandoned at the hospital and now at home. How it feels that everything falls onto me so he can bring a paycheck home. I realized after saying all this that I hadn't really told him how I was feeling. I just continued to bottle it up. He was defensive at first, and I gave him one warning. If this conversation was filled with excuses, I'm walking out. So he stopped and truly listened. He was genuinely remorseful. He only said sorry once at the end, and he meant it. Then he started asking me what I needed him to do. We made a plan, and I finally feel like I can breathe a little easier. He has dog walks handled indefinitely. Mother-in-law is banned from the house, and to have no contact with me or my baby. Once my husband's off work, I'm off duty for the day. I'll still breastfeed because I want to do that. I get a lot of fulfillment out of it. And if you saw the way my baby pats my boob when she nurses, you would too. Her big hazel eyes are like a drug. I'm typing this while soaking in a warm bath. I've been promised the weekend to decompress and sleep to my heart's content. I'll pump instead of nurse this weekend, and we have a stash of frozen milk he's planning on using. He knows what needs to be done, her routine, how much to feed her, so I know he's capable. I can actually hear him unloading the dishwasher right now. We're planning on doing something as a couple one day each weekend, so I don't feel like just a mom. I can be a person too. We're going to go to couples counseling, and I'm going to start individual therapy. He's already in therapy. He didn't have a dad who showed him what love looked like. He had an adult toddler as a father who threw tantrums and verbally abused him and his mother. My husband often comments on how my dad drops everything in a nanosecond for me and how he wants to be like that. But he's not. He's failing me and his daughter. That was really tough for him to hear. So now we take it day by day. If he's actually capable of change, I'll have to wait and see. My bags are still packed and by the door. I guess I have them there as a reminder to myself that leaving is an option at any moment I please. That makes me feel a little better. I'm hopeful, but not delusional. I know we might not be able to come back from this, and that's okay. I have to take care of myself so my little girl has a mama who smiles at things besides her. I have an appointment scheduled for a PPD screening, and my mom's planning on visiting at the start of next month. My family's ready with their door wide open when I choose to come home. Made me cry to hear my dad tell me he'll be on the first flight when I'm ready, so I don't have to fly home alone. Thank you all for letting me spill my guts.